Hi everyone, it's Nat here. Hope you're all doing well. I'm on for my design team project for August for the Tracie Fox creative design team. I'm using this gorgeous kit, which is the Dispatch Vintage Postal kit, and I want to make an Ephemera Folio. That's what I'm calling it. I don't know if that's what it is technically, but that's what I'm calling it. Yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing with this. I'm sort of making it up as I go along, but we'll see how it ends up. So do check out the kit. It'll be linked down below, and check out the other lovely ladies on the design team because they've been making some awesome creations this month as well. So I'm making an ephemera folder, and I'm just measuring the 9-inch mark there so I can cut off the edges. So it's a whole folder, so it's got the two sides. So I've got piles of suspension file folders, so it's good to use some of them up. And then I'm measuring along and cutting it off at about 14 3/8. I'm writing my measurements down for a change so I don't have to remeasure everything to figure out what size I want it. Then I'm finding the halfway point, which ends up being 7 3/16. You could do this any size, though. You just work out what size is going to work for you. So I just draw a line so I know where the halfway is. And then I'm putting lines about 1 centimetre either side. Sorry, I'm mixing up between inches and centimetres. That's just the way I work. So yeah, doing a line 1 centimetre away from the middle line on either side. Then I unfold my folder and I'm chopping down at those 1 centimetre marks there to create some flaps. And then I cut just a couple of millimetres extra out. It'll just allow my flaps to be lifted up and down without them getting caught on things. I do leave that middle flap, but after a bit I end up cutting that off. So I'm now scoring where my 1 centimetre lines would have been, and that's going to create a 2 centimetre spine for me. Just burnish them down so it folds nicely. Now I'm on to my second file folder here. And I'm measuring again at the 9-inch mark, lengthways this time, cutting that down. Then I measure the front of the first piece just to figure out how big we want the sort of pages to be that go in it so that they don't hang out too much. And that worked out to be, I think, 6 5/8 of an inch. So I want to cut this down at that mark, the 6 5/8, and that will give me another set of pages there. I'm utilising the natural fold in the folder for that one. And that's going to be for a little ephemera folder. So just burnish that nicely as well. I ended up scoring 1 millimetre either side, 1 millimetre or 2 either side, just to give it more room to bulge out when you fill it up with stuff. So that'll fit nicely into that first piece we did. So I'm onto my third folder here, again cutting it at the 9-inch mark. And then I measure where the 6 5/8 is for the page size, but instead of cutting those bits down, I'm going to fold them over. So I'll score them and fold them over to create some little flaps that I can fold in. Just straightening up the edge there. So just scoring on my lines so I can fold the little flaps over. And that is going to be the cover for a naked journal that I'll be putting into this folio. So I really didn't have this planned at all. I was just doing stuff. I had no idea what it was going to turn out like. So again, I'm scoring a couple of millimeters either side and just folding them a bit, and that will create more space for the bulk of the pages when I put them in. So now I've got another folder because I realised about here that that cover I did wasn't what I wanted to do for the cover. So I'm doing another piece for it because I want to sort of wrap around cover that resembles slightly an envelope. So I've cut the file folder in half there, and I've got one of the long sides there, and I folded it over the front so I could figure out where about the 3/4 mark was on the page. And so I'm going to fold it there, and that's going to sort of resemble the flap on an envelope. So I'm just using the first folder that I used with the spine. I'm using that to gauge where the spine should be on this bit that goes around it, because I want it to fit really nice and snug around that. So the easiest way to do that was to use the spine I'd already created to fold this around to create the spine. And then I just cut the other side down a bit, leaving a flap that I could adhere to this second part that I'm doing now. So this is the second side of the folder, and I want to make that basically like that first piece, but it'll go in the opposite direction. So it's going to have a spine, and I'll have the sort of 2-page pieces that will fit around that first piece. It'll all make sense once you see it sort of put together, hopefully. So there again, I'm using the spine I had already created to make sure that this is about the same size. And that's going to fit in the opposite direction there to be the base of the envelope sort of thing. Then to make it look a bit like an envelope flap, I've just measured in about 2 inches from either side there. And then I'm trimming it down from where the crease is of the spine down to the mark that I measured, just to get that nice angle, make it even. Then I want to round those little sharp corners, so I just grab a empty ribbon roll that I had sitting around and trace around that to get the corner rounds. So that'll fit like that as the wraparound that the other bits go into. I decide that the bit that flips up the front under that flap, I just needed to tape that in just a little bit to make it look neater. So I have my thus far completed Ephemera Folio thing here, and I have found bits of the kit that I want to cover just the front section, front and back section, or the outside I should say, is more correct. And I just used pins to pin them down so I wouldn't forget where I wanted to put them. I've now taken a photo just to make sure I don't forget how I want to put it together. So I've used plainer pages for this because I will embellish further with bits and pieces from the kit. So the way I measured to cover this was really technical, not. I would just grab the piece that I wanted to put on there, figure out where I wanted the pattern, and then I of course cut the white bits off the edges of my kit page. And then I'd just line it up and leave a few millimeters gap, say around the top and the bottom, because I want the folder to show. And then I'd just make a little line, say over this side, where to cut it. And then I'd get my cutter and just cut that, and then I'd bring it back and measure it against there again to do the cut across here, so that it fits with a bit of a border the whole way around of the folder. And then with this bit, because of the shape being a bit different, I just put that down flat onto my digital and traced around it, and then I cut a few millimeters within the line so that I have the border around that bit as well. It doesn't have to be perfect. Yeah, that worked all right. And then I cut strips for the top and the bottom, and then a backing piece as well. So it's all the outside bits done. Now I don't want to stick them down yet. I'll probably stick them down at the same time that I stick the inside covering down. But what I want to do with the outside bits first is give them a layer of my matte medium. It just protects it nicely on the outside, makes it a bit more durable since it'll be getting knocked around and that. So I'm going to take all of these bits off and then give them a coating of my gel matte medium here. I have all my cover pieces here, and I also have some of the ephemera pieces that I may add to the outside of my little folio. I want to give them a coating of matte medium as well. So what I've done is I have inked with gathered twigs around all of my pieces, which will bleed a little bit with the gel matte medium, but it won't be too bad and it doesn't bother me. I kind of like the look. Also, I'm using paint brushes, not very good ones either. So there will be streaks in the coating, but I don't mind that look for this project. So I will deal with that. So we will get on with doing the matte medium. So while waiting for my matte medium to dry, I decided to get on with my little ephemera folder there. And I've cut out 2 bits of kit to fit in to cover the file folder pages with on the inside. And I've cut up some vellum in 2 centimetre strips to fit across the front of the printed sheets. And I'm putting about 6 of those on there to make my little ephemera holders. So I'm just sticking them down the sides and down the bottom there, just tacking them down, and then I'll sew them afterwards. And I'm just using the lines on the paper to figure out how to put them on evenly. So I do both pages, and then I'll go and sew on the bottom of all of my little vellum pieces. I don't do the sides yet because I'm hoping to catch them when I sew around the page. And then I'll just stick glue on the back, and I can stick my digital pages down on the inside of my little folio piece there. So we'll have one on either side of the inside. So here I have that first piece that we made together with the flaps, and I have covered underneath there with that piece with all the little postcards and that. And what I did was print out 2 more extra sheets of the same print, and that enabled me to cut out all those little sections. But I was able to cut extra bits out because I did the 2 sheets so that it will slip neatly underneath all the different layers that I do. And that'll create all these pockets there to be able to put ephemera into. I think a few of us have been doing folios with this kit, and the lovely Tracie's doing one at the moment, and we're all making pockets with these bits, so they lend themselves really well to creating some kind of pocket. I think we're all doing different pockets though, so that's good. So I just had to fussy cut the little bit under the arrow there because it looked a bit messy with the white. Just inked it up a bit. So again, I'm just gluing down the sides and the bottom to create the pocket. And I'm starting from the top so I can cover over bits of the one that I've just put on. And that's why I needed the 2 sheets, so that I could cut out the extra pieces there. It'll give me slightly deeper pockets as well, doing it that way. And then I have to show you how I can slip something into all the pockets. So what I have done is covered all my pieces, I think, and done most of the sewing. So I thought I would come back and show you how I'm going to put this together. So this is one of the cover pieces, as is this. And I want to form it so it looks like, sort of like an envelope. So this will be the front of our envelope, and that will be the back of the envelope. So in the back of the envelope, I'll just show you how I've covered it so far. I have done a piece up the spine, which I've sewn around. And then I've just covered the front and back. And then on the inside, I have put a piece on the spine again, because we're going to see that part of the spine when we open it up. This is very confusing for me. Should have seen me trying to figure out which bits needed covering. Yeah, and covered this piece and just partly covered this side. Now the reason, I'm just looking at that and thinking, I haven't sewn around that, so I must do that too. But I probably haven't done that, because what we're going to do with that piece is add this piece. So... oh, I know what I've done. It's so confusing. So what I've done with this one is just done a straight stitch down this side, because this is going to be attached to there. And I'm going to sew it just around. I'll just check that you can see. Yes, I'm sewing it just around here. So that will attach it to this piece, but it will leave a pocket here for us. So that's the plan with that. Now, I haven't covered this part of the spine, because this is where we're going to be attaching our other insert pieces to. So, now I had a dilemma when I was putting this all together, because I made a cover and then I realised that I wanted my cover like this. So it's sort of got 2 covers. So that's what happens when you don't have a plan. So yeah, the first thing I will be doing is sticking that to that. I usually tack things down so I know when I sew them they're going to be on straight. And then I'll be sewing around this square here, and that will leave this open. So that will be that part done. And then get the next part. This was the piece that was initially going to be the cover, and then I remembered I want one that was shaped like an envelope. So that will fit into there. Hence why I haven't covered that, because we will be sticking this in here. And what I will be doing then is sewing around this square, and that will hold, so the stitches will go through here as well, and that will hold these nicely together like that. So that will be there. This will be in here. So this is the piece that if I open up, has the flips. It did have a flip on this side and a flip on this side. Now what I've done with the flip on this side is I've cut it down a bit there, and that creates another pocket here. And I've done the layered pockets here like what we did under this flip. So I've just sewn around there. I couldn't actually sew up here and there because my sewing machine wouldn't fit without bending all the pages and that. So that'll have to do. So that'll just flip up and gives us nice writing space there. And these are layered like stacked pockets that we made, and I did these ones the same way. So I have done this spine, but that'll get sewn around when we sew it to the other cover part. And then that's the back of that one. So as I said, it will sit in there like that. And then we will open that up. And then to this we attach the other components, which will be, we have this, which will hold probably like a naked journal. It will sit in that part. And if we open that up, I have folded one of the flaps down and sewed it down, so that's a pocket. And then this one I've left as a little sort of flip out like that. So that will be bound into the spine. I'm hoping this will work. I have no idea. Like that. And then we've got this piece, which is my ephemera booklet. You open that up and we can store lots of little bits of ephemera in that one. And that will go into the spine as well. So this one I was thinking, now I'm debating, but I was thinking of sewing this one into the spine so it stays in there. And then I might do some eyelets in the spine to attach my journal. And what I'll do is put some elastic through it so that you can remove the journal. But I will sew the signatures in with the 3-hole pamphlet stitch. So it will be an intact journal, but you'll be able to slip it in and out. Is what I'm thinking, although it's a bit big, so we will see. But that is my plan. So then when we want to close it up, it would be like, that's the way it would be sitting. And then we'd fold that bit over like that, and then that folds like that. We've got our sort of envelope shape there. So I'm hoping that's all going to work. So I'll be going and putting that together. Now, what I want to do is add a closure as well. And I wanted to do buckles, but I looked at all my secondhand buckles I had here and I didn't have two, and I really wanted two. I did find one that looked really cool, but it just didn't look right with one. So I shot down to Spotlight and I managed to grab two. They're new silver ones, but that's all right because I'm using silver pieces in this just because I have enough different silver pieces. So what I'm going to do is when I'm doing my sewing, I'm going to glue these first, probably like that, something like that. I'll probably glue and stitch them to the back, or the front it would be of this. This is sort of the front, but it looks like the back of an envelope, so I call it the back. So, but I will stitch them and attach them to the other side, and then they can come across to the front here. I'm not sure if I'll leave them loose to there so they can do that. And then you can put them up like that, and then I'm going to stitch another piece onto the top like that so that we can do up the buckles. So that is my plan. I'll see if it works. So I'm going to go and finish putting this together. It won't have pages in it, and I won't have embellished it properly. And I'm not going to do that and show you yet because I might be filling this up with ephemera and sending it off to someone. And if I do that, I don't want to spoil the surprise by them seeing how it's going to look and everything. So this is as much as people will see for now. And then when the recipient has it in a number of weeks, I will come back on and show you it all embellished and finished off. So I'll be back to show you once I've got it all put together. Okay, so here's my little ephemera folio. That was a fun make. Yeah, stretched my abilities in sewing and stuff. Had no idea what I was doing to begin with, so but I think it turned out all right. So quite happy with it. So that's the front, As you can see, I've sewed on my buckle attachments, and I can sew paper pretty good now, but I am no good at sewing fabric. Never have been, never really given it a go. So I'm proud of my efforts. A bit messy, but it's all right. So I ended up putting both the little signature bits in with elastic. That way whoever gets this can remove them and add other things, or remove them just to play around with them and put them back. So, and that can be tightened and loosened as needed. And there's the back, and as I said, I'm not embellishing it yet. Yeah, when I decide who's going to get it, I don't want them to see what it's going to end up looking like. So I will do a future flip through of it once it's fully embellished and I've added the pages and that. So we will undo it. It's a little fiddly to undo because I did sort of hem off this material just so it doesn't fray too much. So that opens up like that. These are sitting in there quite nicely. I did have to bend some of the pages, unfortunately, to be able to sew certain areas. Yeah, but it didn't mess them up too much, which was good. So there you can see where I've tied off the elastic. So it's just a double knot that can be undone, so it can be tightened up, or the elastic can be replaced, which is handy. So this is where my journal pages will be. So I think it'd be a little naked journal, that one, for writing notes in. And then we've got this, which is my little embellishment folder. So that is it. I hope you like that thing. It's a thing. I assume, I call it an embellishment folio, but to me it's just a thing. I just grabbed some cardboard and tried to make something. Yeah, I did change my mind halfway through the month, and because I had started another project, but it was this huge, like, I don't know what you'd call it, but I decided it wasn't going to be very practical, so I changed my mind and decided to do this instead, hence why I'm a bit late as well in the month, other than I've been really busy. So yeah, hopefully you can make sense of what I've showed you. If you have any questions, please leave them down below and I will try to answer them to my best. Thank you so much, Tracie, for the awesome kit. I love this kit. I think I'll be using this one a fair bit in the future. It's great fun to use. So the links for the kit and Tracie's social media is down below. So go and check all of that out. Take care of yourselves, be good, and I will see you again soon. Bye.